Part 43. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 421. In fact, Lu Yun was more interested in this thunder fruit than Tao Ran. He wanted it too, for Yun 11. With this fruit, you can use your natal sword to resist thunder head-on when facing the heavenly calamity, and minimize the damage caused by the thunder to you. Lu Yun sent a message back to Yun 11. If you can successfully resist lightning head-on, your chances of completely clearing away the demonic energy in your natal sword will be greatly increased. So needless to say, Yun 11, Lu Yun is already determined to get these thunder fruits. 5 thunder fruits. This is how Lu Yun sent the message back to the elders of Juxiao sect. 3 pills are not enough, so I have to give 1 to Lu Rui. So if you give 5 pills, I will lift Ren Ping's ban. In addition to wanting to win 2 more, Lu Yun was also observing whether Juxiao sect, or Sword sect, would spend so much money for his erring apprentice. As a result, he received a reply only a few dozen messages later. The other party responded. The elder of Juxiao sect pushed a box over, and Liu Yun's spiritual consciousness went in to check it out, and found that there were indeed 5 thunder fruits. So, the matter was settled. After the dinner, Nian Bai lifted Ren Pingxi's ban on crossing the cave. This guy finally came out. He knelt down and patted his chest to assure Lu Yun that he would be careful in his words and deeds in the future and would never let Lu Yun down. He would definitely shoulder his responsibilities as a disciple of Tianjian Peak and so on. Ren Ping was not a fool like Yan Yan. He had great ambitions, and because he was unwilling to give in, he did not forget to ponder the skills even under the difficult environment where it was difficult to improve his cultivation level and magic training was forbidden. As soon as he was free at this moment, he immediately showed his experience to Lu Yun. He wished he could reshape his image in front of his master, but he didn't know that because of the thunder fruit, Lu Yun actually rejected him even more in his heart. He was a monster before, but now he is still connected to the outer section. How could Liu Yun not take him seriously? Get ready and take your junior sister's place in the ring tomorrow. Disciple, I must work hard and won't disgrace my master. Without much care, Liu Yun left indifferently. The direction he left was exactly where Yun 11 lived. Behind him, Ren Pian looked ferocious and sneered. He heard that his senior sister was already in the late stage of the golden elixir, and he also heard that Fairy Hongling used 5 thunder fruits to buy his freedom. Haha, look, this sect and this master have already been biased. All the efforts of myself and my junior sister are really for He Yungzi. Is such a sect worthy of my allegiance? In the clouds at the peak of Yun 11's residence, Lu Yun saw through the layers of restrictions that Yun 11 and Lu Rui were competing on the peak practice field. It's not an ordinary move, but a flying sand and stone, a powerful collision. Although both of them only used 60% of their strength, their attitude and sincerity were full. Lu Yun was relieved that the younger generation had worked so hard and the Qingyun sect had successors. How did he know that at this moment, Tao Ran didn't want to fight at all? She couldn't remember exactly how many games she played today, but she was very tired anyway. She just wanted to regulate her breathing and regain her strength, preferably using an incense burner, even if she could have a good sleep in it. So on the way back, she sent a message to Lu Rui and asked him to bring back the incense burner that he had occupied for many days. Unexpectedly, when the guy came, he said he must have a fight with her. She was also asked to use as much as possible what she had learned from fighting in the ring these past few days. Otherwise, he will use the incense burner for a few more days. Tao Ran originally planned to have a perfunctory fight, but he used her identity as Tao Ran to force her to defeat him. So Tao Ran had no choice but to fight Lu Rui. Although multiple restrictions were imposed, many experts gathered in the Qingyun sect, and Tao Ran did not dare to use his powerful moves, so he did not even use his life sword and just fought hard with Lu Rui. Do you still have a conscience? In order to save your face and my uncle's face, In order to avoid a head-on confrontation with you, and in order to prevent your tricks from being exposed to your opponents, I took 5th place. Lu Rui, you don't know how to repay your kindness. It's too aggressive. If you beat me, I will consider giving you half of today's first place reward. Lu Rui has figured out a way to bargain with this junior sister. How about this, after I defeat you, if you win first place in the next sect competition, give me half of the rewards. If you have the ability, go and fight for the first place in your sect. Don't always try to take advantage of me. Who takes advantage of whom? Lu Rui, you are getting thicker and thicker. My master told me to learn more from you. So I learned all this from you. The two of you come and go. Taoran couldn't use many of his moves. Although the fight was frustrating, was the fight in the ring these days was in vain? With rich experience in actual combat, she quickly tore apart Lu Rui's defense with a set of fierce swordsmanship, attacked his weak points, and won the round. Only then did Liu Yun show up. He admired both of them greatly. You both performed well today. This is your reward. After one person gave him a jade box, he walked away gracefully on the clouds. Taoran took a look and saw 4 thunder fruits lying in her jade box. There is also one in Lu Rui's jade box. Taoran's face darkened. Wasn't this what he was fighting for? Why does Lu Rui have one too? Lu Rui laughed. Taoran was still a step slower. Before she could touch the jade box in Lu Rui's hand, he put it into the storage ring. Junior sister, next time we compete, if you find another way to defeat me, my thunder fruit will be yours. Lu Rui smiled and dodged, leaving the incense burner and sword and disappeared. After Taoran snorted, he hit the restriction again, returned to the room, went directly to the incense burner to recharge his batteries and went to sleep. The leaving Liu Yun was blocked by Hongling. Unfortunately, Hongling couldn't catch up with him. When Lu Yun left, his words were left behind, I don't want to see you. Don't follow me anymore. The further away from me the better. The furious Hongling soon received the news from his senior brother, and they had already found out Taoran's identity and past. You really don't have a big backer. Judging from the information we have learned, the head of her foreign affairs hall is Lu Rui. Lu Rui is her backer. Who is Lu Rui? Hongling exhaled heavily. Finally, there was something that made her feel more comfortable. It's all right. No wonder the first person to jump out to speak for her today was Lu Rui. It's okay if she doesn't have a backer. Don't underestimate her either. Brother Lei Lingan, it's impossible for the sect not to pay attention to her. She is so good that she should be the direct successor. I understand. Her information says that her sect points are over 100,000, which shows that she does a lot of work for the Qingyun section. She often wears a mask outside and only returns to the sect occasionally. What kind of things can she do? People in Qingyun sect don't know anything about her. Isn't it obvious? She is probably a monk in the secret door of Qingyun section. Such people have low lives. Even if we are cruel, what will they do? Hongling begged her junior brothers who would go out to fight tomorrow. No matter whether the opponent they encountered was He Yongzi or Taobo, they would all be ruthless. If something goes wrong, she will take care of it. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 422. The next day, before the competition started, Hongling couldn't sit still again. Elder Liu Yun, won't Yongzi come to support you? Yun 11 is in retreat. Lu Yun didn't even look at her. But I saw Yongzi's peak yesterday. It was full of clouds and mist. It didn't look like he was in retreat at all. She also saw Lu Yun and Lu Rui coming in and out, so He Yongzi was not in retreat at all. These people, they're all lying. Is Fairy Hongling still so interested in our sect's internal affairs? Elder Liu Yun misunderstood me. I just think that for such a big event, and the Qingyun sect is the head family, Yun 11 should show up. If he doesn't attend, right? The heads of all the sects are here, but she is absent, which is unreasonable. It's not appropriate. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a voice from the crowd. Fairy Yun 11 has always been called a genius monk of the King Yun section. Even if she doesn't participate in the competition this time, she can still show off her talents. That's right. Even if it's just a formality to warm up the place, that's fine. Yeah, who doesn't know that Fairy Yun 11 has a thunder sword that makes her magical? I had a fight with her 3 years ago, and I have been thinking of a way to solve it since then. Today is a rare opportunity, but I don't want the fairy to avoid it. What kind of virtue are you? Someone teased. Then He Yungzi is a treasured monk of the King Yun sect, so he won't hesitate to fight like this with us. Yeah, King Yun sect looks down on people a little bit. In the crowd, some people were fanning the flames and going further. Hongling laughed and said, "Look, it's not good for everyone to misunderstand. If you don't come out with these 3 invitations or 4 invitations, you will be arrogant for King Yun section. Please don't move. Otherwise, let Yun 11 come out, even if he comes out casually, make a few gestures to show it off." Lu Yun and Nian Bai were about to speak, but it was Tao Ran who burst into laughter first. When the two saw her coming forward, they shut their mouths almost at the same time. This matter was caused by Yun 11 herself, and it was only natural that she should resolve it herself. When Hongling saw Tao Buran again, her face turned dark. "Why are you laughing?" "I laughed. Yesterday I thought Fairy Hongling liked to meddle in other people's business. Today I saw that I was wrong. Fairy is a chivalrous and warm-hearted person who wholeheartedly does good deeds. She would rather take the risk of being disliked than come to us Yun 11 over and over again. Senior sister, just come out and make some gestures with my senior sister." Tao Ran blinked. "Actually, I am also a Lei Lingan, and senior sister Yun 11 also gave me guidance." "Fairy, how about we both give in?" "What do you mean?" Hongling sneered. "Don't you want to compete? Just the 2 of us? Just think of me as senior sister Yun 11. You are so enthusiastic and always like to stand up for the monks behind you. Now is the opportunity to do good things. Who said you should be enthusiastic just now? For the field? Let's just have 2 of us. Let's play a game first to cheer everyone up and arouse the atmosphere of the competition. How about it? Doesn't this Hongling always like to kidnap morals? As if no one can. Yesterday I suffered a loss and still didn't know how to get over it, and today I'm still complaining. This time, she had to deal with this girl so that she would not dare to come to King Yun sect again. Don't even look at whose territory this is." She glanced out, and the brothers from the King Yun sect's Foreign Affairs Hall, the inner sect, and the brothers who had competed with her in the ring all shouted, "Join the fun! Join the fun! Join the fun!" Sound after sound, one wave after another. Soon, all the disciples of King Yun sect started shouting. They have long been unhappy with the Hongling fairy. Not to mention the uncle who covets them, he also bosses around everywhere and is extremely arrogant. In the past 3 months, many people have been annoyed by her. In the past few days, she has been even more arrogant. They knew Tao Ran's abilities, and there were few people in the entire Sex Jindan arena who could rival her. Since she has the confidence to fight one-on-one, she will definitely win more than she loses. Of course they fully support it. Within a few breaths, the entire King Yun sect could only hear the voice asking Hongling and Tao Baran to join in the fun. Old man Gun from the Sword sect could not stop him in time and could only sigh secretly. This daughter is impulsive again. On someone else's territory, if you still try to use public opinion to force your opponent to submit, isn't that a mistake? The number of other families is 10,000 times that of my own. I was put on a shelf. What should I do? What's worse is that several sects other than the Sword sect have actually joined the King Yun sect monks in their voices. It's not that other sects don't mind the excitement, but they have also considered it. At this time, just like yesterday, they must make their attitude clear whether it is the Qingyun sect or the Sword sect. In addition, they have all seen Tao Buran's strength, and Hongling is not a good quarrel. The two had a feud yesterday. If they fight today, it will definitely not be over. If Tao Ran is injured, then when the competition between sects takes place later, they will lose a powerful opponent. Even if she wins, her vitality will definitely be greatly damaged, and it will also be beneficial to them, so why not? Hongling gritted her teeth. There were various sounds in her ears. Dad told her not to be impulsive and that there would be no shame in refusing. The senior brother asked her to consider it herself, there were pros and cons. The junior brother allowed her to give it a try, asking her to kill Na Tao or help them deal with an opponent. Hongling snorted. I am a nascent soul, and a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. How can I still be afraid of that little golden elixir? She really wanted to take care of that dead girl more than anyone else. She had the urge to kill him several times yesterday. She kept thinking about it until she was dreaming at night. Now, seeing that girl's aggressive and arrogant look, her hands were itching even more. Anyway, this girl has no backer, so what is she afraid of? What does it matter if you really want to kill him? At worst, it's just a matter of losing some spirit stones. She subconsciously blocked her father's warning. Since everyone is so enthusiastic, okay, I will have a few tricks with Fairy otherwise to help everyone out. I hope I can invite Fairy Yongzi to come out. Tao, otherwise she kept saying yesterday that it is inevitable that swords have no eyes in the ring. Then if she is not careful today, she must not cry. After thinking about this, Hongling instantly became excited. Old man Ji-Yun's temples were twitching, but Nian Bai had already made up his mind, saying that it was decided. As soon as the competition between the two ended, the sect competition would officially begin. Hongling was still thinking about how to force He Yongzi into the 10-person competition after beating Tao Buan and leaving the Qingyun sect with one less person. What's the point of competing? Want some luck? Tao Ran asked proactively, which just hit Hongling's fancy. Oh, that's fine. I heard that the Jian zone also has the thunder fruits that Juxiao sect took out yesterday. I am Lei Lingan, and I really want it. If I win, you can give me 3 thunder fruits. What if you lose? If I lose, I will personally ask my senior sister Yun 11 to come out to fill my vacancy and participate in this competition. As for me, I will stay in Siguodong for a year. Hongling felt relieved for a moment. One more thing, you have to apologize to me. Tao Ran, okay. The kind that kneels down. Yes. But the premise is that if I win, you have to kneel down and apologize. Tao Ran curled his lip. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 423. The two entered the ring at the same time. There was a buzz and the band started. Hongling's cultivation level dropped instantly and she was trapped in the Golden Core realm. Over there, Nian Bai presided over, there is no limit to the time of the competition, until one party surrenders. Do both sides have any opinions? The two of them had the same purpose, to knock each other down, and they both agreed. In addition, since it is a competition, peace is more important. If there is no objection, the competition will begin. Under the spotlight, the two faced off from east to west. Tao Ran smiled, Fairy Hongling is a guest, why not make the first move? No, my cultivation level is higher than yours, so I'd better go first. Monk Hongling would not follow the truth. What if I kill someone with my first move, and the other party doesn't buy it and accuses her of bullying him by attacking first? Hongling's fingers were slightly curved, and the rings on her fingertips were shining with fluorescence. She was thinking about which one to use against Na Tao first. Tao Ran scratched his head. That's right, since Hong Ling said this, he would be rude. You are so much older than me. It would be bad if someone arranged you to rely on your old age and neglect your old age. Who are you calling old? As soon as these words came out, Hong Ling frowned, and the anger in his heart suddenly rose 3 feet high. But before she could think of the irony, a set of sword moves with powerful sword energy came from across from Tao. Hong Ling was startled, an ice shield appeared in her hand, and she blocked several times with great strength. She wanted to fight back, but she was a little unable to do so. She really didn't expect that Tao Boran's sword moves could be so fast. She didn't expect that every blow from the opponent would be so fierce. There was no discernible priority, no breathing, one move followed another, without even a pause in between. Her ice shield was melted with black ice and cold iron. Normal attacks from monks below nascent soul could only use about 30% of their power when faced with her ice shield. But at this moment, she felt a little pain in her wrist from the shock. She had a hunch that she had underestimated the enemy. Hong Ling solemnly began to accept the move. The people watching the comparison also realized that they had underestimated Na Tao. The speed of her sword was so fast that the sword in her hand was almost invisible, leaving only the faint golden shadow left by the spirit sword as it passed by. Not only is it fast, but just by looking at the shadows that linger for a long time, you can also tell how much spiritual power is contained in each sword that passes through. If they had not already known that Tao was a thunder spirit root, they would have thought that she was a gold spirit root based on the spiritually charged gold sword technique they saw at this moment. The thunder element monk can actually integrate the metal element swordsmanship to such an extent, which is astonishing. Tao Ran snorted coldly. Back then, Yun 11 was plotted by Renping and almost died in the sword cave. After that, she started a 10-year retreat to practice swordsmanship. In fact, outsiders except Lu Yun don't know that thanks to Yun 11's talent and diligence, as well as the specialness of Lei Lingan, Yun 11 has been able to reach the 90th level in the sword cave when he came out, surpassing the level to challenge the nascent soul level. Sword Array. In the plot, Yun 11 became famous with this swordsmanship and defeated Lu Rui in the sect competition and won the first place. This time, I just used this sword technique to the extreme. In addition, in the secret realm, she received some advice from her master, and she had a deeper breakthrough in her understanding of swordsmanship. Because of this, she was not afraid of Hong Ling, whose cultivation was reduced to the golden core stage. She knew that for second-generation cultivators like Hong Ling, who had come up step by step, the blessing of resources was far greater than their own efforts. This can be seen from the pile of elixirs and magic weapons that Hong Ling gave to Yan Yan. Most of his strength relies on external objects. So Tao Ran had actually decided long ago that she would attack first. Not only that, she also wanted Hong Ling to have no chance to breathe, even if she had all the magic weapons at her disposal. Well, I don't have the time or the opportunity to do it. This is the easiest way for her to win. Sorry everyone. There's a bit of a situation at home temporarily, that's all for today. I hope you will bear with me, and I bow with all my heart. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 424. Before Tao Ran entered the ring, she had already put a high-grade spirit-restoring pill in her mouth to ensure that even if she used Yun 11's best and most powerful sword combinations in a short period of time, it would not be weakened due to the loss of spiritual power. Attack power. This time she prepared 10 soul-rejuvenating pills. Yun 11 originally had more than 200,000 sect points. When Tao Ran came out of the secret realm, the sect gave her another 1,000,000 points as a reward. She tried her best these days, but even after transferring more than 100,000 points to the name Tao Buran, she still had more than 1,000,000 points left, making her an absolute rich woman. Therefore, even though this was almost a huge sum of money for an ordinary monk and required 5,000 points for each high-grade spiritual recovery pill, Tao Ran could exchange it for 10 pills. With this elixir in her mouth, the replenishment of her spiritual power was almost equal to the amount of energy she had consumed, so when Tao Ran struck out, she was quick and ruthless, with overwhelming force and no mercy, leaving Hongling no chance to breathe. Hongling never expected to encounter a madman who kept attacking. She had a lot of magic weapons in her hands and a whole body of spells, but at this moment she was unable to parry them and couldn't use them at all. All she could do was dodge while reinforcing the ice shield that followed her. However, what made her even more incredible was that Tao's cultivation in front of her was still rising even as the offensive was being unleashed layer by layer. What the hell is this? Isn't she in the middle stage of Golden Core? She lied. Hongling cursed angrily. Isn't it? At this moment, Tao Ran had completely let go of the cultivation she had been holding down. Everyone just watched her entire cultivation level rise to the late Golden Core stage. Hongling regretted it too much. In the many previous fights in her sect, including the one with Yan Yan, Tao Baran had shown that he was in the middle stage of Jindan cultivation, so she should take it for granted. Even the senior brother went to the Qingyun sect Foreign Affairs Hall and the Martial Arts Hall to inquire about the news, and they all said that Tao was in the middle stage of Jindan. Damn it! So bad. If he knew that she was in the late stage of Golden Core, how could he agree to fight with her in the ring? Who doesn't know how many Liligan monks are capable of leapfrogging challenges? And this is a man who is good at swordsmanship and can bring out the metal swordsmanship to the fullest. Hongling was a little worried. His own cultivation was suppressed, and he was also in the late stage of Jindan. So there is no advantage in cultivation. Now you can see the real ability. Although my ice spells are powerful, and my ice skills are not afraid of thunder, I really don't have the time or the chance to use them. Fraud. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have let her attack first. Despicable and shameless, Hongling cursed bitterly. Jianzong Jiyuan's head hurt a little. He secretly glanced at the expressionless Nian Bai and Lu Yun beside him. These people obviously knew exactly what Tao Buran's cultivation and abilities were. Otherwise, Tao is definitely not an ordinary inner monk. Qingyun sect threw it into the inner sect, probably as a training for her, and more likely as a warning to other sects and demon sects. This is to tell them that even if the Qingyun sect is only the inner sect, there are still many talented people, and no one can be bullied at will. This is the reason why Nian Bai readily agreed after hearing his daughter agree to Tao Baran's challenge. The daughter's disobedience only helped the Qingyun sect. He knew that in this situation, even if his daughter could win, she would have to pay a heavy price. It would be disgraceful to win, and even the sword sect would be embarrassed to lose. Why bother? Ji-Yuan sighed heavily. And below the ring, seeing Tao Orhan beating Fairy Hongling until she was unable to fight back, the Qingyun sect monks burst out with overwhelming cheers. The momentum is one-sided on and off the field. Hongling heard this and became even more angry. Worse happened. In a moment of regret, Hongling's ice shield was no match for the opponent. She didn't seem to be tired at all. The continuous attacks, with the thunderous golden aura, had cracked several marks on her ice shield. Even though Hongling was still working hard to strengthen and repair the ice shield, the speed at which the ice shield was repaired could not keep up with the speed at which it cracked. What to do? What to do? Hongling already felt that her hair was beginning to sizzle due to the excessive thunder in the air. Seeing that the ice shield could no longer hold on, and the range that he could dodge was getting smaller and smaller, and when the entire ice shield was covered with fierce sword attacks, Hongling could only try to turn against the enemy. She mobilized a lot of spiritual power, thickened the ice shield instantly, and at the same time directly released the spiritual power blessing on the ice shield that had been protecting her. She condensed all the instantaneous spiritual power that could be unleashed around her into one of her most powerful killing moves. Frozen for thousands of miles, the huge ice aura was pushed out by her. This is the only way. Even if she uses this method, it is very likely that she will inevitably bear some damage from Taoran's sword moves. Just like that, at the moment when the ice shield in front of him was shattered into ice slag by Tao Buran's sword, Hongling used this move. Taoran saw that something was wrong and quickly dodged. In the blink of an eye, the entire arena and the barrier turned into ice. The huge ice spirit was chilling to the bone, and the surrounding area was completely white. Taoran immediately put up protection on his body to prevent him from being turned into popsicles from the inside out. One of her golden elixirs rotated at high speed to resist the invasion of the cold aura. But even so, her whole body was still wrapped in a layer of ice in an instant. Looking at Hongling opposite, because she gave up her ice shield and attacked forcefully, she was struck by Taoran's sword energy and thunder. Not only was her body covered in scars, but she also suffered internal injuries. Her face was pale now, with a trace of red already hanging on her face. He pursed his lips and put one knee on the ground. But Hongling still smiled. She twisted her fingers with both hands. In the flash of silver light, the ice aura in the entire arena became even stronger, and ice bamboo shoots stood up all around her. "Break my ice shield, can you still break my ice blade?" Those ice shoots instantly turned into ice blades, one ebbing and the other growing, forming a powerful weapon that was 100 times stronger than the ice shield and could both attack and defend. It spread with Hongling as the center in the arena. "Show off." Taoran cursed and was too lazy to pay attention to her. He shook his body and his spiritual energy rushed away. The ice shards surrounding her body were instantly shaken to the ground by her and shattered into ice shards on the ground. Taoran regained her strength and was about to move when she realized that at some point, the ice beneath her feet had been stretched by an alien shape and quietly covered her, locking her in place. She couldn't move at all. And the ice bamboo shoots, ice blades, and ice pillars that were originally gathered around the red caltrop were still expanding rapidly. One by one, they were approaching her. She secretly thought that frozen 1,000 miles was indeed overbearing. As soon as he made a strong move, the entire arena was completely under Hongling's control. The cold wind howled and ice scum filled the sky. Under Hongling's control, the ice aura in the air turned into ice spikes, hitting Taoran from all directions. If it weren't for Taoran's outstanding swordsmanship and ability to protect himself airtight, he would have been riddled with wounds. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 425. The entire arena, including Taoran's feet, had long been trapped in the almost indestructible layer of ice, and as Hongling continued to inject ice spiritual energy, the ice surface was swallowing Taoran bit by bit. Thick and sharp ice was climbing up from her ankles. The situation has suddenly changed dramatically, and it will only be a matter of time before Tao is defeated. The Qingyun sect monks became silent, but the Jian sect's group burst into loud cheers. Let's just say, a little golden core cultivator dares to challenge their Binglingan senior sister. Isn't this asking for trouble? Thunder Spirit Root is powerful, but facing Ice Spirit Root, what advantage does it have? After the thunder came hail. Otherwise, even if Tao stimulated the Thunder Spirit energy, he would only be helping Hongling. At this moment, the air was filled with ice spiritual energy. As long as Hongling borrowed the power of thunder, the ice pillars would be knocked down. Ha! Hongling thought so too. So at this moment, her flamboyant smile had completely spread across her face. And the ice blade she activated would reach Taoran's feet by another foot, and would directly penetrate her foot bones and flesh. Surrender. Taoran said nothing. Since you don't speak, if I hurt you, it's none of my business. Hongling wished that this arrogant Tao would just stand there and suffer. So, she gritted her teeth, breathed out her true energy, and summoned a large amount of Danshan spiritual energy again, vowing to penetrate Tao Buran's feet with the force of breaking a bamboo. As soon as Tao Ran closed his eyes, the spirit sword flying in his hand like a golden snake suddenly accelerated. Everyone was dazzled. The spiritual sword flew around Tao Oran until only an after-image remained. I don't know if it was dazzling, but many people saw a faint green shadow. "Over there," Fairy Hongling shouted. I saw that the ice blades on the ground no longer sprouted upward one by one, but broke out of the ground in rows and struck directly at Tao Buer. Many people exclaimed. Some timid junior sisters almost wanted to cover their eyes. The air became stagnant. There was a series of gasping sounds. When many people took a closer look, they found that the ice blade had stopped just an inch away from Tao Ran's feet, and they were unable to do anything to move forward even a little bit. Hungling's fingertips gathered ice aura and tried hard to push the ice blade forward, but it had no effect. Hongling was frightened and sneered. She was just struggling in her heart. She summoned her consciousness and was about to take out the century-old milk from the storage ring to replenish her spiritual energy when she saw an incredible scene. The ice beneath Tao Ran's feet suddenly showed signs of cracking. Therefore, Hongling only drank a small sip of the spiritual milk and had to quickly maintain, strengthen her ice attack. However, there was a flash of green light at Tao Buran's feet opposite, and the circle of ice blades near her feet shattered instantly, and the ice under her feet was also cracking, and her imprisoned feet broke out from under the ice. Dots of green came together, directly breaking the ice. When Tao Buran broke free from the shackles of the ice spirit and flew up, Hongling had already felt that his ice spirit had been suppressed by a large piece of majestic wood spirit. Wood spirit energy? Where did it come from? Tao Buran's magic weapon? I didn't see her use any magic weapon. She was busy blocking the ice nails, so there was no chance she could use the magic weapon. But where did such majestic wood spirit energy come from? Could it be that she is Mu Lingon? But isn't she Lei Lingon? Mu Lei dual series? But thunder itself can suppress wood, how can it have such spiritual roots? It is still understandable that a single spiritual root has such vast spiritual power. How can dual spiritual roots be achieved? Could it be that this Tao still has double dantian? One question after another popped up in Hongling's mind, and the same whims filled the minds of almost everyone present. Yes, everyone. Even Lu Yun saw Yun 11 using the magic vine spiritual energy in his life sword for the first time with his own eyes. Yes. When Tao Ran competed a few days ago, she indeed used only the top quality spiritual sword that Lu Yun had prepared for her. But even though she has changed her appearance, who says that she can only use that spiritual sword? After all, she had been prepared a while ago. She had long asked Nian Bai to help refine Yun 11's natal sword and cover it up. Her request was to make Yun 11's natal sword look exactly the same as the newly acquired spirit sword. Nian Bai often muttered to her, but he was never vague about things. He is worthy of being a master of weapon refining. In 3 days of work, he had basically finished it. He then spent another 5 days finishing the work. When the finished product comes out, not only the appearance and smell, but also the inner contents of the two spiritual swords are almost identical. Just looking at it with his eyes, Lu Yun couldn't tell the difference. Tao Ran only confirmed the real and fake swords after communicating with his spiritual consciousness. What she had to deal with today was Hongling, who was stronger than herself. She was stupid to not use her natal sword. Such a good opportunity just came to practice. So what she just used was the ability to switch between two kinds of spiritual energy at will by relying on the natal magic weapon spirit sword, which was forced by old man Chang Feng to practice in the secret realm of Thunder Lake. Now that the domineering thunder energy was no longer available, she activated the vitality wood intention. Thousands of miles of ice cover all things alive. And the magic vine in her sword is most indispensable for the wood spiritual energy that brings vitality to all things. To break the ice with vitality is to break it from the source. Speaking of which, it is much stronger than using fire to attack. Who can see the scene and exclaim? Wherever you look, you can see dots of green in the arena. They broke the ice instantly. A little bit of green begins to spread. If you look closely, you will see that there are countless green vines. Wherever they pass, the silver is covered with green. And those ice blades standing on the ground were directly broken into ice slag under their instant entanglement and clinging. The majestic wood spiritual energy directly suppressed the ice spiritual energy instantly. Everyone just gasped. What a powerful wood spirit energy! Otherwise, how many trump cards would Tao have? Hongling suffered a backlash over there, her chest and Danjun felt pain at the same time, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. She quickly swallowed an elixir, but before the elixir could take effect, a giant vine had wrapped itself around her, tying her up so tightly that she was unable to throw the magic weapon immediately. She wanted to use the ice spirit energy to cut off the vine, but a thunder had already exploded above her head. At the same time as the thunder exploded, a cry of "Are you admitting defeat?" rang in my ears. Give up? How about this little known Tao? How can it be? The next moment, thunder struck directly. Hongling and the giant vine on his body were hit at the same time. The giant vine broke off. Hongling felt that he was burnt on the outside and tender on the inside, and he vomited out another mouthful of old blood. Even if she was in the nascent soul heavenly tribulation, she would not be in such a miserable state. She's angry. She hates it. She wanted to break Tao into pieces. But before she could spit out a mouthful of blood, Tao Ran struck her with a mighty sword. She was so stunned that she didn't even have a chance to use her magic weapon. She was so frustrated. At this moment, Tao Ran's invincible swordsmanship, the group of virtual and real sword moves, hit Hongling from all directions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 426. At this moment, all the heads present knew that Hongling had lost. Right now, even if she is not injured, she does not have enough spiritual energy to build an ice shield for defense, let alone fight back. This situation should have been in Tao Buran's calculations for a long time. In fact, after Hongling used Frozen 1,000 Miles, Tao was able to use wood spirit energy to break the ice and deal with it. But she didn't. She has been waiting. Waiting for Hongling to be consumed. Hongling is too greedy. The ice spiritual energy controls the entire arena, which requires a lot of spiritual power. And the cost of maintenance is even greater. But she was still thinking about the image, wanted to crush him, and wanted to force Tao Buran to beg for mercy. Not only did she draw a steady stream of ice aura, but she also continuously organized and condensed the ice aura in the air into ice blades to fight with Tao Buran. She wanted a comprehensive, complete, crushing victory so much. If she had used less flashy tricks since the first use of Frozen 1,000 Miles, and aimed the ice blade directly at Tao, otherwise, she would not be facing such an embarrassing situation now, where even if she forcefully poured the spiritual milk, she would not be able to recover in time. It's not shameful to lose in a fight, but it's unjustifiable to lose because you want to save face too much. If you still fail to defeat the army despite holding a lot of magic weapons, then it's a shame to be thrown into the grandma's house of the sword section. Tao Ran had a provocative look on his face, and his sharp swordsmanship was approaching Hongling. At that moment, Hongling, who was desperate, looked at that arrogant face. She had only one thought: no matter what, she absolutely could not lose to Tao Oran. Don't give up. Don't apologize. Not even kneeling down. It would be better for her to die than for her to lose. If Tao was dead, she wouldn't have to apologize. Humph, just an inner disciple. If you die, just die. At worst, you will have to pay for some spiritual stone resources. After thinking about it, Hong Ling threw out a piece of senior brother's nascent soul sword talisman without hesitation. At that moment, the ground shook. The restrictions in the Jindan arena were triggered, and they could not withstand nascent soul's full blow. The sword talisman thrown by Hong Ling was still the pioneering swordsmanship of their sword section. It was extremely domineering. What would be the result if the huge sword energy collided with the restriction? Seeing that the arena was shaking, it was about to collapse in an instant. At that moment, Nian Bai and Lu Yun's faces turned dark. "That's unreasonable," the two of them said at the same time. Nian Bai waved his sleeves and forcibly stabilized the arena that was about to explode. Lu Yun swung out the sharp golden energy of his sword, driving away most of the sword energy of the nascent soul sword talisman. Lu Rui, as the direct superior of Taoran's Foreign Affairs Department, rushed out immediately and brought out Taoran, who was still in the aura class and was about to explode. After a breath, the entire arena exploded with a bang, leaving only ashes all over the sky. The pressure of Nian Bai and Lu Yun was slightly relieved, and the whole place was gloomy. Taoran, who appeared in front of everyone, just vomited blood. Taoran was very clever. She had already expected that Hong Ling would never admit defeat even if everything was defeated. When she saw the fierce look in her eyes, she knew she had a backup plan, so she opened an amulet long ago. Therefore, although Hong Ling's sword talisman was powerful, Taoran was still protected to the greatest extent. The sword that fell on her was less than 1/10 of the force. She resisted with all her strength. Although she suffered some internal injuries, it was only a matter of a few pills. As for the blood, it was indeed caused by internal injuries, but it was also a prop she needed. On the other side, Hong Ling was naturally rescued by the people of Jianzhong. She was also vomiting blood, partly because of Taoran's Golden Thunder Sword Qi, and partly because of the backlash from her weak spiritual energy and the internal injuries caused by being countered by the wood spiritual energy. Hong Ling violated the rules of the arena by using the leapfrog sword talisman in front of everyone. Without Nian Bai and others making any statements at this moment, she and the entire sword sect were already being denounced by the monks of the Qingyun sect, who were clamoring for explanations. Ji Yuan and the Jianzhong elders could only bite the bullet and step forward to apologize. They were not surprised that Hong Ling did this. How could that girl kneel down and apologize? So she would rather smash the ring and risk killing Taoran on the spot than let that embarrassing situation happen. At the moment, they are the only ones who want to sacrifice their face, hoping that the Qingyun sect can take the matter into consideration for the sake of their sword sect. Otherwise, if the monk is so generous, I hope he can give me and the sword sect some respect. Wait, Taoran interrupted directly. Would I be stingy if I didn't give you some thin noodles? That's not what I meant. But that's what I mean. Yes, I'm stingy, so I asked the leader to make the decision for me. After all, if our leader hadn't taken action just now, if Elder Liu Yun hadn't been so strong, and if our hall leader hadn't acted quickly, I wouldn't be here now. I will face a blow from the nascent soul cultivator. In the worst case, my body will be destroyed and annihilated like ashes in the arena. In the worst case, my dantian will be damaged and my path will be cut off. Both possibilities will have unimaginable consequences. If I still laugh at this moment, however, that is not generosity, but short-sightedness. Taoran swallowed a few pills, and there was blood on his mouth. Senior Ji, please don't bully me because you think I'm easy to fool. No matter what I say, there are tens of thousands of brothers from the Qingyun sect behind me, right? Yes. There was another overwhelming response. Who is not angry at this moment? Who didn't see it just now? Tao almost won, but the opponent was so shameless. In order not to lose, he tried to kill people and even blew up the ring. A transcendent sword talisman. If it were an ordinary person, there would be no way to avoid it. This is still on their own territory. It's so deceiving. If you don't get an explanation for such a slap in the face, none of the Qingyun sect members will have to mess around in the future. If we really want everyone to be like them, why should we set up an arena? What else is there to compare with? A shame. After being incited by Tao Buran, this matter not only showed no signs of abating, but almost expanded into a matter involving two major sections. Everyone in the sword sect was a little panicked. Gun suddenly remembered that Tao Buran had been so eloquent before, talking endlessly, telling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leaving Jianzone without any chance to refute. This girl was too talkative, so Gun immediately made a decision not to waste any time talking to her. So, the two old men jumped over her and walked towards Nianbai with fists in hand. Little girl, do you really think that sword sect is afraid of her? This matter still needs to be discussed with Nianbai. Since Nianbai is the leader of the 8 major sects, he must be embarrassed to continue making trouble at this time. However, Gun did not expect that as soon as he opened his mouth, he would receive a light reply from Nianbai. Brother Yuan, are you sure you want to talk to me? This matter can be between juniors, but you and I are the two masters to talk about it. It has become a matter between the two major sects. Are you sure you want to argue with the bigger one? Nianbai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a smile. He was willing to believe in Yun 11's status quo after Yun 11 fought for it. So let Yun 11 play with it on his own. If she can get to this point, she can naturally achieve whatever result she wants. So he went to the theater. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 427. Gun choked up. He really didn't expect Nianbai to use this trick. He subconsciously cast his gaze on Lu Yun, who was silent on the side. If you ask me, I have one opinion. An explanation is necessary. Liu Yun has always defended his shortcomings. How could he not stand by his disciple? He is not afraid of Jianzone, nor Gun, nor does he intend to give face to anyone. There is no reason to take advantage of the situation and suffer a loss. The sword talisman just now, Hongling did not do it to save her life, but to run for another life. Thousands of monks present can clearly see this. If this matter is revealed lightly, not only will it be difficult to convince everyone, but it makes all the monks in Qingyun sect feel chilled. Old man Gun glanced at his daughter who was recovering from her injuries and said, "My little girl must have made an unintentional mistake out of desperation. I hope Qingyun sect can. In your opinion, Hongling may have just done it unintentionally, but in the eyes of many people, it may not be so." Lu Yun stretched out his hand to stop Gun's pale explanation. "I, Zhong Tao, have just emerged, and when I saw that I was standing out, I suffered such an unreasonable disaster. I was almost defeated and killed. If a small competition ended up like this, I don't believe it if it is an accident. I believe most people present will not believe it. Who doesn't know that the talented disciples of the younger generation are the future of a sect? The Jianzone may think this matter is harmless, but in our case, can it be interpreted as your sect deliberately suppressing my family's genius and trying to ruin the future of my Qingyun sect? So don't ask me about this matter. If you ask me, you will be severely punished." Seeing that Nianbai and Lu Yun both had angry expressions on their faces and expressed the same views, Gun had no choice but to go to Taoran, who was adjusting his breathing. He apologized again and said that he had absolutely no intention of deceiving each other. This matter is indeed Hongling's fault, and their Jianzone apologizes. They will also provide corresponding compensation. Before the competition started, Hongling should have made a bet, and we lost the 3 thunder fruits. Saying this, Gun felt heartache. Inexplicably, he lost his wife and soldiers, lost his face, and got drool and dirty water all over his body. What was this for? In addition, our sect is willing to add 2 more thunder fruits to compensate fairy otherwise. Gun felt that he was generous enough, but 30. Tao Ran, who was meditating, didn't even raise his eyelids and opened his mouth. Everyone in the sword sect gasped in unison. 30 thunder fruits? Is she dreaming? It takes 100 years for a tree to bear 3 fruits. The 2 trees of Jian Zone only grow 6 fruits in 100 years. 30 pills will cost you 500 years. Is this ridiculous? Are they not good enough every time? There are only 13 pills in their sex warehouse, okay. I'm afraid the fairy doesn't know how valuable the thunder fruit is, so this request is a bit too much. Really? I don't care, and I don't necessarily want this thunder fruit. This is my personal bet and competition with Fairy Hongling. If Sword Sect doesn't want to help Fairy Hongling deal with the aftermath, then it will follow the original rules. Come. Fairy Hongling first gave me the 3 thunder fruits she lost to me, then apologized and knelt down to me, and then we would talk about compensation. Gun took a deep breath. Kneel. Not to mention that it was impossible for Hongling to do it, even their sword sect would not agree. Hongling is also seriously injured. It is impossible for her to apologize to the fairy in person for the time being. This won't work, and that won't work either. Tao Ran laughed. If you're afraid of losing, don't compete. If you're willing to gamble, admit defeat. Will Master Ji help Fairy Hongling deal with the aftermath? He was so irritated. The name of the sword sect is well known, but don't let everyone see the joke. Please be more relaxed, everyone is still waiting for the upcoming sect competition. Gun had no choice but to communicate with Nian Bai again. Brother Nian, in order not to delay the competition, it is better to let this matter go for now. Leaving a buffer. Nian Bai refused again. Gun was a little angry. I, Sword Sect Hongling, am indeed wrong about this matter, but your sect doesn't need to be so aggressive, right? He hummed. The Qingyun sect has completely ignored itself now, but what is the reality? Otherwise, this Tao is not an ordinary monk at all. The Kegui sect specially asked her to lower her cultivation level, and arranged her to be an ordinary inner sect monk. They repeatedly made things difficult for Hongling. Provoking Hongling's anger and instigating Hongling to the ring, Qingyun sect dares to say that he has no selfish motives. Hongling was already seriously injured before she threw the sword talisman, but Tao was attacking with lightning and sword at the same time. If Hongling didn't fight back at that time, she might be the one who died. After all, my Hongling family is also desperate. If it weren't for Tao who forced him into a desperate situation, how could this situation be possible? This time, Tao Ran really couldn't bear it anymore. Senior Ji said this, which is a bit of a slap in the face. She couldn't meditate anymore, so she stood up forcefully and stood in front of Gun. First of all, if you lose, you lose. If you break the rules, you will break the rules. If you are not as good as others, you have to admit defeat. What excuse can you make? We are all practitioners. We compete with heaven and fate. If we don't have the ability, we should blame others for their ability. Secondly, what you just said is all conjecture. It didn't happen at all. How do you know that Hongling will die if he doesn't take action? How do you know I'm not trying to scare Hongling? How do you know I won't stop? With that said, Tao Ran took out a few sword talismans. I saw it, isn't it a sword talisman? Well, it was all earned by the sect for self-defense. I have the nascent soul sword talisman. If I really want to kill Fairy Hongling, if I really don't want to let her go, if I am really aggressive and want revenge, after she threw the sword talisman just now, I will give it back immediately. She has to. Given her situation at that time, if she was swept away by my sword talisman, life would be worse than death. Senior, you have to be conscientious. I am already very angry. If I retaliate with tooth, Even if I throw away the sword talisman, I will be even with Fairy Hongling. I'm not the one who made the first move, so I won't be blamed. But you will lose Fairy Hongling. In a sense, I have given her a break. This really left Gun speechless. This Daoran is indeed not simple. He has so many sword talismans on his body, all of which have powerful auras. Almost all of them are the sword talismans of middle and late nascent soul monks. That's what she said. If she had bad intentions and just threw one away, Hongling would definitely suffer a big disaster. But she was able to escape intact. Seeing Gun's silence, Taoran relaxed his attitude. In addition, please don't embarrass the head of my family. He didn't put me in the inner sect on purpose, nor did you think that I was trained by the sect to deal with someone. The head of my family really can't control me, because I am in the section. The seniority here is a bit awkward. Nian Bai sent a message to her to say this. Nian Bui said, Tao Aran had obtained the special inheritance of our King Yun sect's ascended ancestor in the sect mission earlier, so from this point of view, she is still the disciple of our ancestor. If based on this generation, her qualifications are higher, then I am still getting old. Therefore, I can't interfere with her affairs. Nian Bai is fine. The abacus in one hand made a snapping sound. Otherwise this name was given to me by my ancestor, and my ancestor asked me to take more care of him in my dream. This can be regarded as a way for me to be filial to my elders. Yun 11 was closely watched by all parties. Instead of carrying Yun 11, it was better to lift another person to share the firepower. Anyway, this Tao is also a fake identity and is not afraid of becoming a target. This can protect Yun 11 to the greatest extent. In addition, if Tao or else improves his status, Jianzhong will definitely suffer the loss. There was no way they could just mess with her anymore. This is also beneficial to Yun 11. Furthermore, no one knows how much inheritance Tao has received, so outsiders are bound to be wary. Isn't this the purpose of his birthday banquet and sect competition this time? Just further solidification. With such a powerful King Yun sect, whoever wants to take action in the future must still weigh it. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 428. Everyone knows that Nian Bai cannot lie. The higher the cultivation level, the more taboo and trustworthy one is. Everyone was stunned when they heard Tao Aran's true background. Even Hongling, who had just used her inner strength to convert the elixir, was shocked when she heard this and spit out another mouthful of blood. What did you do? Otherwise, would Tao still have such an identity? Don't you have a backer? Is her real backer stronger than Nian Bai? Are you afraid of cypress trees every year? Gun opened his mouth, but was speechless for a moment. Hit the iron plate. It's still smelly, hard, and hard to talk to. No wonder, this stinky girl has dared to show off her teeth and claws in the past few days, and she dared to interrupt anyone who spoke. It turns out that there is a reason for this. This is so arrogant. Please give me a favor, fairy. The other party was being reasonable, and with so many people watching, Gun had to consider the overall situation of Jianzhong. At this time, it is better to calm down the matter quickly and act like a big sect. Come on, let out some blood. Hongling is seriously injured and cannot apologize. She was reckless this time. I promise that I will discipline her well in the future. What happened today will not happen again in the future. I will not allow Hongling to step into King Yun sect again, not to mention Hongling, he doesn't want to come back in the next 100 years. When Tao Ran heard this, he also sent a message to Lu Yun, Master, do you also have to thank me? You will no longer have to be pestered by Fairy Hongling. Liu Yun lowered his eyes and ignored her. Gun, I am willing to replace Hongling and try my best to compensate the fairy. But the Jianzhong really can't get the 30 thunder fruits. Fairy, please show your respect. Today's incident was an accident. The Jianzong and the Qingyun sect will have to work together in the future. Our sect can add 2 more thunder fruits at most, and give the fairy a total of 7. I hope the fairy can take a step back. As for the rest, we can discuss it later. 7. Taoran was already very satisfied. In fact, at the last moment in the ring, when Taoran used the magic vine to control Hongling, he was already winning. But at that time, she did not attack directly but chose to release the thunder power. Firstly, it was to scare Hongling, and secondly, it was to break the long vine and give Hongling a chance to fight back. Taoran did it on purpose, just to force Hongling to make a mistake. Hongling was frightened and found out that she had fallen into the trap. Instead, Taoran seized the opportunity and received a large amount of compensation. In fact, Hongling was ignorant and fearless and dared to kill her, but she did not dare to kill Hongling. Therefore, her offensive is mostly just to bluff people. At this moment, Taoran also became considerate and less aggressive. Senior G, you're welcome. Taoran is self-aware. What right does she have to represent the Qingyun sect to have a dispute with the Jian sect? Accepting what is good is the best way. The sect was a great success this time. Intimidate all sides and defeat the 8 major sections in this way. Tragedies such as the battle between good and evil that ripped open the mouth of the strongest Qingyun sect in the plot will not happen. Junior just wanted to fight for a breath, so his attitude was a little impatient. I have offended many of my seniors. I have a lot of seniors, so I hope you can forgive me. Don't argue with me. The other party should be more accepting of both soft and hard tactics. Taoran sent a message to Lu Rui again, asking for help. Ji Yuanzheng laughed and didn't even dare to say anything. As soon as the atmosphere relaxed, Lu Rui stepped forward bravely. Lu Rui, otherwise, if you suffered internal injuries, would you still be able to participate in the sect competition? Taoran lowered his head regretfully. I'm afraid not. This. Lu Rui's eyes showed regret, and then he turned his attention to the jade case not far above. What is placed on the table is the reward that the monk who finally stands out will receive. It's a pity. Otherwise, there must be a reward for you. Even the biggest share should not be yours. The biggest reward is all the resources from golden elixir to god transformation. Gun is not stupid, so how can he not understand the meaning? It wouldn't matter if this hadn't been brought to the table. Now, he couldn't pretend to be stupid. Indeed, without his daughter's sword talisman, Tao would have been a strong candidate for first place. Forget it. Let's just treat him as a good match with the sword sect. Otherwise, I don't know what kind of opportunity and inheritance this Tao had, but Chang Feng was able to ascend seriously. If Tao doesn't get the true meaning, I'm afraid Jianzhong will have to ask for help from her in the future. It is better to dissolve enemies than to make enemies. Well, otherwise, fairy, in addition to the 7 thunder fruits, I will personally compensate you with 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones to help you practice. How about that? Senior is generous, Junior is ashamed. Taoran bowed politely. Nianbai narrowed his eyes and stroked his beard. The stinky girl was able to bend and stretch, and had the overall situation in hand. She was more like a leader. Does he want to snatch Yun 11 away from Lu Yun? With a change of thought, Nianbai suddenly had an idea. Otherwise, come here. Taoran stepped forward and saluted politely. Kneel down, Nianbai shouted. Taoran didn't know why and quickly obeyed. Kowtow. She lamented in her heart. Maybe he went too far. The old man was trying to show himself in front of various sects. She quickly kowtowed several times. Enough. When Taoran looked up again, he already had a tea bowl in his hand. Bring it here, the old man said again. The moment Taoran subconsciously obeyed, he heard Lu Yun cough, and then saw a flash of inspiration on Lu Yun's fingertips, and went to break the tea bowl, but the tea bowl was already in Nianbai's hand. Nianbai drank the bowl of tea in one gulp, and then helped Taoran up with his own hands. In the past, your identity was not revealed, and I have wronged you for many years in the inner section. Now, I cannot let you stay in the inner sect anymore. Now that the tea has been presented, you will be my fifth disciple from now on. Taoran was dumbfounded. She plays two roles, and she feels that she is capable of playing them. But people around her are still acting with her, so what kind of script is this? Group pet? Somewhat flattered. After working so hard, will she die from exhaustion in the future? She took a dumbfounded breath and found another gift box in her hand. It was the apprenticeship ceremony given by Nianbai. What? I accepted you as my disciple in public, and you're still not satisfied. Why haven't you thanked me yet? Nianbai seemed to be smiling but not smiling. Disciple, thank you master. Be good, get up. Nianbai glanced at Lu Yun again. Why do you keep staring at me? Do you want to compete with me as an apprentice? Liu Yun snorted and looked back. Senior brother, you've gone too far. He sent a message. When one person plays two people, there will inevitably be loopholes. This is the best way to cover up. Of my 4 apprentices, one knows her identity, and the other 3 are fools. No one will find anything wrong with her. But your 2 apprentices, you also know. Otherwise, if Tao enters Tianjian Peak, Yun 11 will be even more busy in the future. The more you explain, the more guilty you are. When Yun 11 comes to my place, she can learn some of my special skills and make progress faster. What's wrong with that? If it weren't for this, do you think I would give up so easily? Taoran quickly accepted the fact that he had an extra master. If you think about it carefully, it's a good thing. This way, she gets double the resources. From now on, if you have a share of Tianjian Peak, you can also get a share from the leader. I'll go meet her senior brothers later, there are 4 of them. You can get 4 more gifts. In the real world, she can care less about money. But in the world of cultivating immortals, cultivation resources are very important. When she gets rich, she will go around collecting thunder fruits, which can not only help Yun 11, but also help her own spiritual objects. Besides, she was not Yun 11, so she always felt a little embarrassed when facing Lu Yun. But Nianbai is much better. Lu Rui is careless, Nianbai is easy to talk to, and she feels more at ease. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 429. Before the official start of the sect competition, Hongling was sent back to Jianzhong. After the plague god left, Lu Yun's face became much more relaxed. Nianbai chatted with Ji Yuan privately for a few words. When they came out, they were chatting and laughing happily, as if the turmoil not long ago did not exist at all. When Ji Yuan saw Taoran again, he smiled and gave him a greeting gift. At the beginning of the competition, Taoran leisurely became a spectator. However, even if she was sitting there quietly, she was still the brightest fairy in everyone's eyes. At the end of the first match day, Taoran, surrounded by Nianbai's 4 disciples, moved to the leader's Tianling Peak in a high-profile manner. The happiest person is Lu Rui. He helped Taoran find a place to live. From now on, you are my true junior sister. Then I don't have to treat you as an outsider. After Lu Rui said this, he snatched her incense burner and ran away. You don't have to compete these days, so just lend it to me first. Thank you so much, good junior sister. Hey, where's my meeting gift? When Taoran called out, Lu Rui had already disappeared. I'm speechless. Where has the honest Lu Rui gone a few months ago? In addition to Lu Rui, she suddenly had a master and 3 senior brothers. She really enjoyed the feeling of being a group favorite. She was the only female disciple at Tianling Peak, so several senior brothers were curious about and liked her, and they all said they would take good care of her in the future. In this way, she changed from the senior sister who was so heartbroken in Tianjian Peak to being the little junior sister who is praised by others. When Lu Yun came to see her, he packed up all the commonly used items in Tianjian Peak for her. Seeing that the people at Tianling Peak treated her well, he told her to take good care of herself here. Her residence at Tianjian Peak had been renovated by him. Restrictions have been added and it has been made into a retreat, so no one can enter. Nian Bai arranged for her to have very high standards for food and drink, and he also sent her a lot of books on various exercises that she had never seen before. The senior brother sent her a large box of elixirs and talismans he had made by himself, and told her that she would not have to work so hard in the future. If she was short of elixirs or talismans, she could just get them from him. Talisman smash. Tao Ran, what a domineering president. The second senior brother is a martial arts fanatic. In addition to sending a bunch of weapons and treasures from his collection, Tao Ran promised to fight with him in the ring for a month after he recovered from his injuries. Tao Ran, what a straight man. The third senior brother, who had obtained Nian Bai's true inheritance in weapon refining, came to give her a butterfly hairpin that day. After asking her what she liked, he patted his chest and said that he would make her a beautiful butterfly treasure weapon that can attack, defend and... Tao Ran, what a considerate and warm man. The seniors are all pretty good. In his entire life, this was the first time in Tao Ran's life that he was so happy to be supported by the people around him. Although mirror flowers and moon in the water were all fake, she cherished them very much. She lived like a moth for a few days. Watch the competition during the day and sleep at night. Everything went as expected. Except for one thing. She often gets confused between characters. For example, when facing Nian Bai and Lu Yun, she once habitually called Nian Bai uncle, and then received a look from Nian Bai. Then she changed her name to Master, but Nian Bai and Lu Yun stared at her at the same time, leaving her at a loss as to how to respond. From then on, she continued to call Lu Yun Master and Nian Bai as Master. 5 days later, the competition came to an end. As expected, Lu Rui came in first place and took away the biggest reward. As for Ren Ping, he barely reached the mid-level Jindan level in the end, and failed to improve in recent months. Although his will was impressive, his ability was limited, and he was ultimately defeated in the 3rd round. The one who defeated him was a monk from Juxiao sect. The guy laughed loudly and said that the level of Tianjian Peak was mediocre. Looking at Yan Yan and Ren Ping, this level is too unworthy of the name. Tao Ran came out and interrupted him, "Monk, it's better not to say such things. The level of Tianjian Peak, apart from my uncle Liu Yun, mainly depends on my senior sister Yun 11. I have competed with senior sister Yun 11 several times. I can only perform dozens of moves on the hands of my senior sister Yun 11. If you continue to brag like this, I'm afraid my senior sister will have to challenge you after she comes out of seclusion." Although Tao Ran was somewhat free in this world, she clearly remembered the mission requirements. No matter what happens, the prestige of Tianjian Peak and Liu Yun must not be lost. Yun 11 must be one of the strongest people in this world in the future. The competition came to an end, and Lu Rui had a conscience. He sent 1/3 of the rewards to Tao Ran, and kept 1/3 for himself. The remaining rewards were actually distributed, and he gave Tao Ran a good performance in this competition. The outstanding junior brothers and sisters are worthy of being the best senior brothers and hall masters with the best reputation in the entire Qingyun sect. You are so generous, it seems like I am stingy. Tao Ran was embarrassed to take the reward for nothing, so after keeping half of it, he personally sent the other half to the martial arts hall as a reward for the winner of the daily arena competition. As a result, the Qingyun sect, which had just returned to calm, became excited again. Tao Ran put himself at the forefront of the limelight again. Every day a bunch of people sign up to compete with her. At the martial arts hall, someone figured out how to rank up for a fight with Tao Ran. As a result, within a few days, there were already 3,000 people lined up. Tao Ran laughed when he heard this. Her star halo has extended to the world of immortality. Unfortunately, everyone comes to fight with her. The highly respected elders of the martial arts hall actually offered her an olive branch and asked her to be the deputy hall leader. You don't have to go to the ring every day. You just have to practice with the winner of them every 3 days. Now tens of thousands of monks in the sect regard you as their target on the way forward. It will be more beneficial for you to be closer to them. They catch up and motivate them. Of course, if you can point them out, that would be even better. Facing this elder who did everything for his sect, how could Tao Ran refuse? By chance, her minor injury was healed, so the next day, she wore an official robe. Her arrival caused the martial arts hall to explode again. Tao Ran spent half a day to understand all the various aspects of the martial arts hall, and another half day to accept the challenge from the enthusiastic brothers and sisters. When she dragged her tired body back to Tianling Peak, she was stopped by the second martial brother who knew she had recovered. "Junior sister, do you remember? You promised before that you would fight with me in the ring for a month after you recover." Tao Ran he, the hair on the back of his neck stood up. As a last resort, there was another fight. This senior brother was an experienced nascent soul. Even if his cultivation level was higher, Tao Ran was far from his opponent, so she was beaten. "It's really fun to compete with Brother Liligan," the second senior brother smiled naively. "Tomorrow, junior sister, remember to use the wood spirit energy." "Junior sister, see you tomorrow." Before Tao Ran could refuse, the second senior brother had already disappeared. As soon as she turned around, she saw Lu Rui, who was snickering. "Oh my God! Here comes another one." Tao Ran shuddered when he thought about being pestered by Lu Rui to fight with him every day a while ago. She was wrong. She was too aggressive in the previous battle, and obviously everyone misunderstood her. Now she feels weak in the legs when she hears the word fight. "Don't speak yet," Tao Ran shouted. "I'm warning you, if you plan to compete with me, I will take the incense burner back. If the headmaster protects you, I will go back to Tianjian Peak tonight. From now on, you will have to cry and beg me to come back." Tao Ran ran away like flying. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 430. The next day, Tao Ran had no plans to go to the martial arts hall again, but she received news that Renping had gone, as if to challenge herself. Tao Ran's brows flew up. How could she miss this rare opportunity to beat someone upright? It turned out that Yan Yan had injured her origins because of her forced cultivation last time. She even played with fire and burned herself. She was blown up by the Hot Wheels in the ring. Her physical constitution was greatly damaged, and her meridians and dantian were really damaged. She soaked in the spiritual fluid for 3 full days before she woke up, and it took another 3 days before she could get up. Then she was told that in the following days, not only would she not be able to practice or mobilize the wood spirit energy in her body, she would also have to endure the pain of thunder and fire repair. Every day, she only feels one thing: pain. Even the good news that her senior brother was released from Siguo Cave could not make her pain any less. She wants to recover, and she also wants to take revenge. But she doesn't have the ability. So she told Renping that as long as he could help her get revenge, she would tell him a secret that he didn't know when he was Guan Siguo. Renping was not interested at first, until Yan Yan said that the secret was related to Yun 11. For Renping, his cultivation had fallen too far. Previously, Lu Rui was called a genius in the sect, Then there was senior sister Yoon 11, and now there is Tao Buobu. They were so outstanding that they made Renping extremely anxious and made him even more eager to catch up. But in terms of means, he didn't have any good ideas, he could only keep a close eye on Yoon 11. However, Yongzi's mountain top was always closed. He had been released from prison for many days but had not been able to see his senior sister. Even the letters he sent fell into disarray. Senior sister is probably very powerful at this level. When she comes out, Tianjian Peak will have nothing to worry about, right? His master has been indifferent to him recently. If he continues like this, he will have no hope of obtaining his master's inheritance. So after Yan Yan gave Yoon 11 a secret promise, Renping agreed. Although he knew that he might not be Na Tao's opponent. Renping held up a water mirror and carefully looked at his handsome face in the mirror. Tao Ran's sparrow turned into a phoenix, and now he is the head disciple. What kind of inheritance does she have from her ancestor? I heard that now cats and dogs in the sect want to get close to her, even if it's not for her inheritance, just to befriend her and gain glory? In a certain sense, the value of Tao Buran is greater than that of Yoon 11. The corners of Renping's lips raised slightly, and he was very satisfied with his immortal appearance. That's all, even if you can't beat him, just go and get familiar with him. What if I win? What if Na Tao is just as obsessed with sex and brainless as Yan Yan? He thought boldly. He couldn't get Lu Yun's inheritance, but what if he could get Nian Bai and Patriarch's inheritance through Tao? So on this day, he put on a silver-white robe that best matched his temperament, and went to the martial arts hall in a graceful manner. When Tao Ran showed up, Renping and Yan Yan were drinking spiritual tea in the hall. Renping looks like a dog, but is extraordinarily chic. Seeing his face that was full of admiration and tenderness, Daoran was speechless for a moment. Yoon 11 was all too familiar with his behavior. Rubbish. I have to beat you until your silver robe blooms today. Acting. Who wouldn't? Seeing Yan Yan gnashing her teeth behind Renping again, Tao Ran secretly sighed that he had guessed well. Yan Yan, a bad girl, was injured like this, so she didn't need to take good care of her injuries. With this development, it would take at least 2 years for her to recover from the injury that she had just gritted her teeth for half a year. So Tao Ran smiled brightly like a flower directly at Renping and sweetly called out, "Hello, senior brother." Renping was so proud that his eyes were glued to Tao Baran, his smile became gentler, and he completely ignored the fire in his eyes and the twitching face around him. We haven't seen each other for a few days. Junior sister is even more charming. Do you think her injuries have healed? Tao Ran nodded shyly. I have long wanted to come to visit my junior sister. Tianling Peak and Tianjian Peak have always been close. If anything happens in the future, just come and see my senior brother. Thank you, senior brother. Tao Ran looked at Renping with starry eyes. Renping immediately gave away a prepared gift. This is a meeting gift for senior brother. I hope junior sister can like it. Brother, you're welcome. Open it quickly and take a look. Tao Ran opened it and then smiled. I really want to laugh. In the box, there was actually a copy of the Nixia spirit satin that Yoon 11 had given to Renping and Yan Yan before they went into seclusion in their early years. Did he say that Yoon 11 was his true love? This change of hands, tisk. Do you like it? Not only does the spiritual satin have defensive power, it can also be set on a cassock. It looks radiant and radiant. It is most suitable for little fairies. I like it. I've wanted it for a long time. Tao Ran's eyes showed joy. It's just a little short. I'll go to the sex warehouse to have a look later. If I can replace it with another half, it will be enough to make a beautiful robe. Renping smiled even more when he heard this. Otherwise, Tao is really outspoken, which shows that he is a straight person. This point actually confirms the time when he called the head of Banjian sect that day. Silly junior sister, there is no treasure like this in the sex warehouse that you can exchange for if you want. This Nixialing satin is hard to come by. Ah, that's such a pity. Chaoran's smile disappeared for most of his face. What's the regret? I remember that my junior sister Yan Yan still has a piece of it. Isn't that right? Renping looked at Yan Yan. Yan Yan's face instantly turned into a donkey's face. Senior brother, are you kidding me? Yan Yan sent the message. I like this satin very much. I asked him for it no less than 10 times, but he refused to give it to me. Didn't you say that this was given by senior sister and you should keep it for yourself? Renping twitched his brows. Nonsense. He prepared 2 gifts today, both of which the girl's family liked, so he decided to give them based on Tao's attitude. At the moment, this Tao is so cute. After more training, or Yan Yan is the second one who is completely devoted to him, he will naturally be more generous and give enough bait, at least wait until the fish takes the bait. Renping smiled directly at Yan Yan and said, as a senior sister, when you see your junior sister, you have to prepare a greeting gift. Since your junior sister likes this spiritual satin, don't be stingy. Yan Yan was stunned and amazed. I came to seek revenge from him. What was he doing? Yan Yan, the last time you two fought, you were the one who broke the rules and acted randomly. Take this opportunity to resolve the estrangement and be good sisters from now on. Renping winked and continued to send messages to persuade. Yan Yan sneered and gritted his teeth and gave the spirit satin out. Thank you, senior brother and sister. Chaoran said this, but only looked at Renping. I never thought that gifts given to scumbag men and scumbag women could be taken back. Even if they were cut into scarves, it would still be better than these cheap items. Interesting. Of the 2 people who came to my door, one will suffer physically today and the other will be hurt mentally. You deserve it if you ask for it. After 100 breaths, Chaoran and Renping stood on the ring. Senior brother, my cultivation level is higher than yours, are you sure? Chaoran deliberately asked this in front of hundreds of people under the ring. The important thing is to discuss. Senior brother, it's easy to use my thunder spirit root, but when I close it, I often don't obey my command. If I can't control it, senior brother, don't blame me. Senior brother wouldn't have come if he was afraid of losing. We monks are not afraid of losing. If senior brother can't bear it, then tell me in advance. Junior sister is worrying too much. What a gentle little junior sister. Renping didn't think he would lose miserably. No matter how weak he is still the best among his peers. What's more, although he didn't get Liu Yun's true inheritance, Tian Jianfeng's swordsmanship was the most powerful in the entire Qingyun sect. Although Tao Buran has experienced hundreds of battles, he has never experienced the swordsmanship of Tian Jianpeak.